In this video, I will be mixing and mastering my new song in GarageBand. But if it's your first time here, who am I? What is this? My name is Pete. This is Studio Live today, where my goal is to help you create, record, and release your best music. And I do that through tips and tricks and tutorials and live videos just like this one, because what we have here today is my new song. This is a song called No Apologies that I'm working on at the moment. I've been doing some mixing. I've been doing some, I did recording. I've done some mixing. I've done some editing, and I need to put the final touches on this one and show you some of the techniques that I use to actually do this here in GarageBand. So let's, without any further ado, jump straight into it. So if you've missed the previous videos in this series, I wrote this song as a demo. I had a guitar riff idea. In fact, I'll play you the guitar riff idea. It sounded like this. So a very simple D, A, you know, those two chords that you learn very early on when you're a musician. I then went ahead and started sort of building out a track. And the next thing that I did was added just some basic drummer track, but I'm not going to even show you that. In fact, I don't even think I have it on here anymore because I'll tell you about the drums in a little bit. There's a fun story about the drums there. The next thing I kind of wrote here was a bass line because I wanted this to have an interesting kind of driving bass. So let's take a listen to this bass with our guitars. There's our bass. And the beauty part about GarageBand is that we can use I've just used the bass amp sim here. So I've just used the clean and direct bass. I just wanted a very simple sounding bass, but I wanted to be able to have a more complex kind of bass part. And the drums actually match the bass really well. And I'm saying good things about the drums for reasons you'll find out in a moment. The vocals were hard. So I didn't actually write the vocals early on. If you heard earlier versions of this, it was do 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 da da da. So the way that I normally do vocals is I'll just go da 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 da, and then over time I wrote and fleshed out the vocals. So let's take a listen to these lead vocals here. We'll bring these in with the original guitars because originally this was pretty much just bass, guitar, and vocal, and it sounded a little bit like this. Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win, but my intentions are always the best. At this stage, I wanted a bunch of backing vocals, which I'll show you in a moment. I brought in a heap of backing vocals throughout here. I've got some instrumentation down here, so I just brought in an electric piano just to give a little bit more flavor in this part. Maybe I don't always, which doesn't seem to be playing for some reason. Why are you not playing electric piano? Let's take these off and see if we can solo these instruments down here. Is that, there it is. Very simple piano part that builds up a little bit here and then has added to it. We then brought in an organ in the next verse section. Just some complementary harmonies to add. I also wanted a lead guitar part, so I threw in some lead guitars, and they sound like this. And I kind of think it's very much Crowded House kind of inspired of that Australian 80s and 90s acoustic rock kind of sound. So that's the basics of what we have together here, but we're short on time. So why don't we bring everything back into the mix here, and I'll show you some of the mixing things that I've done in this track because yes, that is what we are here to do. So we'll start with the guitars. These were just using, to be honest, I've done so little with these guitars because they just sounded good out of the gate. I'm just using the nice room setting here, which just has a little bit of this room noise and compressor on there. I've got two guitar parts panned left and right. So this is a pretty classic kind of way to do guitars. And when we play them together, they sounded okay out of the gate. So I didn't do a whole lot with them. And here's my dirty little secret. These were recorded using the using the direct plugin. So I just plug these directly in via my Taylor, and it's using its onboard preamp, which most recording and mixing people will say, never do that. I did it for the demo and it sounded good, so I just did it again. And kind of goes down to the whole, if it sounds good, it is good, which is the way I do things. Or at least that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So we've got the guitar sound there. The lead guitar here, we've got 2 lead guitars. And what I've done on this lead guitar is I've actually used the Nembrini chorus. So the Nembrini analog rack chorus, because originally the guitar sounded a little bit sort of dull. So here's the guitar without that chorus plug-in on there. Now let's put that chorus back on there. And what I did with this track is I'm a little bit scared to like overdo the effects. This one I wanted to have some fun with, so I kind of overdid the effects, and it kind of came out sounding okay. So that is now this was the original version of my lead guitar, which wasn't quite as good, but what I've done here is actually used it as my guitar double. So the reason we're using a double, and I'll show you my vocal double in a minute, is that if you record the same part twice, it can do a couple of things. It makes it thicker, and then it can also disguise any bum notes and things that are out of tune, especially with your vocals. So these 2 guitars together here now. Just a bit thicker if we turn off the other one. So they were the decisions I made with guitars. Very simple, and yes, they're all acoustic. So I didn't even add a single electric guitar to the entire mix. The only other guitar I have here is this one here, which is my guitar solo. So when we came down here to the guitar solo, this one has fairly similar sort of effects on it, but the reason it's on its own separate track is it was actually on this track originally, but I shifted it on down to here because I wanted to add this. I wanted to add a little bit of additional echo with an 8th note echo. So the original echo that's here on the master effect is a 1/4 note echo. If we come into master effects, I've got a 1/4 note echo there. But what I wanted is I also wanted an 8th note just to give it an extra bit of delay on the 8th notes as well. So if we bring this into our mix. Can you hear that there's a 1/4 note there, but there's also an 8th note delay, and I just like how that sounds. Don't be afraid to layer up. If you're using a reverb or a compressor or a delay plugin, layer it up. Use 2 of them. Get a little bit of 2 different sounds. It can sound good in the mix. So that's where at the moment. We haven't talked about drums, and I want to talk about drums, despite the fact that Jade Starr has called me out because I called Crowded House an Australian band. They are in fact from New Zealand, and yes, I know my buddy Glenn over in NZ would be choking on his cornflakes right now hearing me say that they are an Australian band. They are not. They were just very popular in Australia, a bit like Russell Crowe, except we don't really want him. So these drums, now I probably need to do a separate video all about these, but what you can see here, my friend Jade, here's the story. On the last live show, I finished the recording of this. I'd done a rough mix. I went, I can't do any more on this tonight. I'm too tired. And then Jade pings me and says, I can do some drums for you. And I'm like, okay. And I zip up the project. I send it to her. I go to bed. I'm exhausted. I wake up in the morning and there's like not only 1, but 3 different drum parts that she's actually put together. 3 different feels. And she's like, which one do you like? And I'm like, oh, I like this one. She's like, okay, here you go. And just gifts me these drums. So let's take a listen to them, shall we? You can see here that what she's done is recorded them on one track here, but then done a little trick here, which I need to do a video on this, of splitting them out. So, and she, unlike me, she actually labels things properly. So you can see here we've got the kick, the snare. It is just the exact right groove. And she asked me, oh, what do you want with the drums? And I'm like, I honestly have no idea. I just had a drummer beat in there. And all I said was, just follow the bass. I tried to make the bass pattern sort of have that feel that I wanted to. So I said, yeah, just follow along with the bass and just make sure the kicks and the bass kind of line up. And I think this is what actually makes the song. So if we listen to the kicks and the bass together here. And the variation there that you heard, so the beautiful part about live played drum, so Jade played this on her e-kit, is that you can have your own feels. And you can hear that there's just a variation in the kick or the bass drum pattern in that second part. And you'll hear that as we go through and listen to the song, that it just varies it up as we go through. Alrighty, let's get to the point where we need to make some mixing decisions. Because what I was doing last night, as we bring everything back into the mix, what I was doing last night is a few things. And you can see them here. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see some of the decisions I've made here and what I've done. So the beautiful part about GarageBand is it has something called clip gain. And I actually use this more than I do automation and more than I do pretty much everything else. Because here's a part, for instance. This is my opening guitar parts. But what I found is that there was this one note here that was just way too loud. So if we tap on this and we go settings, this one here has been dropped down by 4.8 dB. If we double tap that one to bring it back in, listen to this and just see if you can hear this part poke out of the guitar originally. So, now, in a perfect world, I'd re-record that, yeah? But we're in the home studio and not all of us have infinite time to re-record. Plus, yeah, how many takes do you do before it's a little bit redundant? So what do we need to do? We came in here and all I did was split this out. So you can split by just tapping anywhere there, tap again, tap split. Say I wanted to split again here, you just drag down on that. So you can create these multiple sections and then each section can have its own gain settings. So with this one, we just tap that section, we go settings, we drop the gain back down by whatever I had, 4.8. 5 will do, and we play this back now. Doesn't stand out in the mix. Very cool. You'll see I've done that in a few other places as we go down here. We've got different sections where it's, say, getting a bit too loud. You can split those out and you can change the volume of those. And this section down here, so this bit here where there's the break, this break between the bridge and the final chorus, it wasn't quite loud enough. So if we tap, go settings, I've put it up 4.1 dB. Let's bring it back down to, by the way, double tapping on a lot of things will put you back to 0. So if you're ever trying to go, I'm just trying to find 0, double tap, takes you straight to 0. So what it sounded like originally coming into this this final chorus. So that left guitar only is doing the chuck, chuck, chuck. And I just wanted a little bit more sound out of that. So rather than putting automation on, rather than having to try and do anything tricky, split, settings, bump it up. I just gave an extra, say, 4 dB on that one. And then if we play, just sticks out a little bit more in the mix, so that's pretty cool. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot is vocals. So I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about what I've done with the vocals. By the way, if you have ideas, if you have suggestions, this is not done. And what I'm going to do is at the end of this one, I will provide a copy. So you'll be able to listen to it at the end, but I'll also provide a copy of the track. I'll export the WAV file of the final mix. And depending how far we get, maybe even the final mastered version. And then you can play around with it yourself. And yeah, take a listen and let me know. Because this needs to be done within the next 24 hours. So if you're watching on the replay and it's past that, you'll probably see another video saying, here's the final release. So it may be a bit late, but if you're watching it straight away or you're here live, let me know what you're thinking. So vocals. The vocal here were recorded using my Audio-Technica AT2020. They were recorded standing here with the microphone in my hand without a pop filter. I don't know why I keep doing this, but I do. And it sounds good, and it's obviously badly treated room, should be using a mic stand, should be using a pop filter. I was just kind of singing next to the mic, so I didn't get the plosives in there, and it just freed me up to get into the song, and I think what it did was help me get a little bit of the passion in here. So let's be brave and play these vocals standalone, and then we'll bring them in the mix and show you those. Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best. There's the breathing. Maybe I don't always do what I... So let's take a look at what we've got in these vocals here. I've used the basic lead vocal, have I? Oops, I'm on the wrong track. Find the right track, Pete. There we go. Boom. Yeah, so I've used the lead vocals here. I've got a little bit of overdrive here. So I've got a little tiny bit of distortion there. Only 0.5 dB, virtually nothing. Got the track reverb on there. which is basically set to about what it normally is. I've dialed in the compressor here, so I've got a ratio of 4.2 to 1. I've got it down at minus 23 dB, just so that it's got enough to cut through without being overpowering on the mix. And that's really about it. I don't go overboard, and there's no other sort of funky things on here. On most of my tracks, you'll find that I do a little bit of the master echo and reverb. I think that just glues everything together. So I use a little bit of the delay and a little bit more of the reverb. The reverb I have on here, as I said before, the delay is the quarter note. The reverb, I'm using the club reverb because I wanted this to sound kind of like a 4 or 5 piece band playing, like playing live in a club. So I went, let's use the club. Plus, I don't usually use it, and it's kind of sounding good, I think, on this track. So that was it for the vocals. The backing vocals are using similar sorts of settings. You can see we've got one backing vocal here panned to the left and one panned to the right. And if we bring these in on this second part. Maybe I'm biting off more than I chew. Maybe I need to be honest with you, but I just don't want to show any weakness. Maybe. So they're basically just quieter versions of the lead vocal that are giving it support. Then got a third vocal that comes in here, again using almost exactly the same thing. Now, here's the point I wanted to make with this. You could say, Pete, you haven't done much in the way of mixing. But the key thing is that I was mixing as I was going. I was mixing on the way in. So there's kind of two ways to approach this. One is that you record all your tracks 100% clean, and then at the end you've got yourself a giant job of trying to add in compression and reverb and delay and get everything mixed at the right volume. Or you tweak it as you go to the point where you get to the end like here, and there's not a whole lot to do. So I like to go that way around. So let's take a listen to the vocals with the third harmony vocal in here. But the work, it never ends, and I try to make amends, but it's not. And look, there are a few pitching issues on there, so you will have noticed I have used the enhanced tuning. Not afraid to use some pitch control here. A little bit of pitch control. The key is little is a lot. Don't use too much on that. So that's just straightening up some of those notes. You can see a little bit there, a little bit there. It just means that some of those notes that aren't quite on the money are going to be there. It's not going to T-paint it up, but it's just going to help out with that. So let's bring these, just so you can hear how these vocals come back into the mix. Let's come back to that section and play it with the rest of the tracks. But the work, it never ends, and I try to make amends, but it's not always easy, and I try to do everything I say, but I've only got one day today. So in this section here, originally I had some weird sounding backing vocals that were doing like an ah, which I thought would sound cool. It didn't. So again, beauty part of non-destructive editing is that you can just remove them. So they were, what track were they on? I think they're on this top track. If we could come out here. So let's just listen to what we did have in there that I decided didn't need to be there anymore. Yeah, that, oh, sounds like, it kind of sounded like the ghost of a cat that had been wounded. Hang on. If it's been wounded, how's it a ghost? Anyway. So, getting way off track here. So we're going to have to move on here because we're getting close to the point where I need to export this and then think about mastering. But what I'll do is I'll jump over to the chat. As you've been listening here, you've got a chance to listen to some of these sections. Is there anything that is popping out to you? Is there anything that you think I could do differently? If you're watching on the replay, as I said, I want to hear your feedback too. It may well be too late because we're moving fast with this. It's going to be done this weekend. We're going to have the final released version out this weekend, but I still want to hear from you. Still want to get your feedback on these. But I just think that the bass and the drums work really well together, thanks to Jade Star. Appreciate your help there. The guitars are simple, but I think effective in the way that they come in. The vocals, again, are simple. We've got some rich harmonies there that are helping out, not using a whole lot, not trying to over compress or put too many effects on there. We haven't really talked about the virtual instruments. And we probably won't have time to. It's 2 electric piano tracks, that organ track. The only thing I haven't talked about is this track that I added yesterday, which is just a string that is sitting under this section, because when it moved from the first section to the second section, so actually I'll play it together, this section here, it was too much of a sort of not climax, but you know what I mean. It went up, it ramped up too much because there wasn't enough texture in this part. So here, let's just play this again. Running as fast as I can, but the work it never ends, and I try to make, but it's not always easy. Maybe I'm biting up on. So originally, before I had this second electric piano and that string section here, in fact, I can show you exactly what it sounded like. So this was my decision here, is that it sounded too thin coming in here. So if we play this. And I try to make amends, but it's not always easy. Maybe I'm biting up on. See how that just, boom, suddenly it hit you and it went in too hard, I think. So that's what these were doing here. This was just sort of building it. So it went from sort of softer, sparser kind of mix, medium, and then it's in that second verse that everything comes in, where you've got the organ that comes in for that extra treble, and you've got all the backing vocals. It was too much of a shock that went in then. Metallian saying, Wounded Cat Ghost sounds like a mean metal song. Yeah, maybe Fear Cut, my fictional punk band. Maybe their next song should be Wounded Cat Ghost. Wounded Cat Ghost. Yeah, something like that. All right, before we do the next step here, let's come back over here and say hello to the folks that we have here live. So we also have the people I've said hello to already. We've also got Diggerflow. Says, do you know about United Masters? I've heard about United Masters. I've heard about Route Note or Root Note. I've heard about STEM. There's all of these other distribution and music publishing companies that are kind of bubbling up out of the swamp. And clearly I need to cover them because I've done a lot of videos on DistroKid. I've done a lot of videos on Muse. Done a lot on SoundCloud. All of these new ones, I think I need to investigate. Maybe I need to release this song using an alternative service. Let me know. Let me know in the comments or in the chat if you want me to try something new. It's always a bit dangerous. I like DistroKid so much. So Jade Star says, did you redo the R's? They sound better than the mix I had. No, I didn't. And they do sound better. And I can't remember if I did anything in particular. I think I turned them down, to be honest. And I think I cut out those ones that were bad. So I removed some of them that sounded bad. And then, yeah, the rest of them. And I might have used that little bit of pitch correction. So I think some were just some bung notes that I pitch corrected up a little bit. Jade talking about using the Lux plugin from Clevgrand instead of a compressor. Clevgrand. Maybe I need to try that on these vocals. I think we're past the point of no return. I think I might try that on my next vocal. Yes. SM Borthwick talking about my New Zealand Australian thing. He said he might have a New Zealand passport, but I'm pretty sure Neil Finn is a Scot. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's weird. Like Colin Hay, who the lead singer of Men at Work, I come from a land down under, Scottish. Like 100%. So it is weird. It is weird who we claim. Hello to Fun Times saying hi. Hi to you. I think I missed Alex Cruz there saying hello. Hello to you too. Thomas Olsen, hello to you. The French horn is one of my favourite instruments and it works much better with reverb effects. You know what? We need some better horns in GarageBand, don't we? French horn, a decent trumpet, some saxophone. Yeah, the brass is a bit of a letdown. We've got decent strings. We've got decent sort of bass and electric piano, like the electric piano and the keyboard and the whirly and the organ. They're all really good virtual instruments. Yeah, I think brass could be done a little bit better, I think. Have I missed anyone else with anything else? No, I think we're good. So I think we are going to move on. And yeah, so SM Borthwick, they're saying no plugins, a good option. So I've used minimal stuff here, haven't I? So we'll come back to here. I haven't used anything that's not free. So this is the beauty part. In fact, yeah, I might. What I did in a previous one is I released, and with Jade's permission, because she contributed some of these tracks, but I might make the actual project available for folks to take a look at the mix, and then remix it and do with what you wish once the song's released. But yeah. They're all free, so the only plugins that I've actually used on here that are outside of the standard GarageBand plugins, I believe, is the chorus. Oh, you know what I didn't talk about? I didn't talk about the vocals that are in. I want your opinion on this. So before we move into mastering, I want your opinion on this. I want your opinion on these vocals here. What you'll notice is that I had this original vocal line, but I've done something a bit different here. I've pushed this a little bit left and then a little bit right because I wanted this to be like a call and response kind of section here. So let me know. And then the final one here, I've got a flanger on. Like I've just done a flange on this last little section. So let's play through this. And yeah, I'm not totally convinced. I did it last night and I kind of liked it. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let's play this. When you think I've got it made, must be good to be this way. Look at what the people say. But the roses have their thorns. The biggest critic wears the horn. I think it's time to slow it down. So yeah, there you go. I just wanted something a bit interesting in that bridge. So I thought just moving the vocals left and right would be a kind of cool thing to do. So having the vocals on the left, vocals on the right, and then that last one, a little bit of a. I think I could even have a little bit more delay on that one. What do you reckon? Just really up the delay on this last little bit. Let's see. Time to slow it down. I kind of like that. Yeah. In this song, I've not been afraid to use the effects. Like I said before, I normally don't use a lot in the way of effects like this, but in this one, I've decided to go a little bit more, not effects, but I've gone with more wetness. It's the only word in my head. I've gone with more of a wet signal in my reverb. I'm not doing well in my reverb and echo and everything else. All right, what do we reckon? How am I going to master this track? Should we master it here in GarageBand? Should we do one of our little GarageBand mastering tricks? I think we'll give that a go, shall we? So we'll try it this way, and then we'll see what happens. This could be interesting. Now, before we do this, we've made some tweaks here. We close out of our project. We do the right thing here, and then we create ourselves a new version. So we tap select, we tap on No Apologies version 3, we duplicate it, and then it's version 3 number 2, but we can come in here, we can rename this to version 4. And there we go. So, and now we can come back in here. We know that that is frozen in time. That one's not going to change. Version 4, if we completely break it, no problem. And these are stored on iCloud Drive. I did a video a week ago about backing up in GarageBand. And if you don't listen to any part of the mixing or the mastering or the tips about how I've done this, and all you want, and you take one thing away, it's please, for the love of deity of your choice, back up your tracks, put them on iCloud Drive, zip them up and Dropbox them, Google Drive them, OneDrive them. There are so many ways to back up. Put them on an external hard drive. Use the Documents app to Wi-Fi drive, drop them to your PC or your Mac. Just do something, because I get an email maybe 2 or 3 times a week. It's like, I just lost all of my tracks. My iPad just died, or I just accidentally deleted GarageBand and I lost all my stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's on iCloud Drive. You're fine. And they're like, oh no, it was just on my iPad or my iPhone, and it's nowhere else. And now I've lost all my music. So it's preventable. Only you can prevent losing GarageBand projects. So how do we do this? So there's a couple of ways that we can actually create a stereo mix down of this track. So at the moment, it is completely what it is. We can actually merge all these tracks down into one stereo track within this project, or we can actually export the project and then bring it back into. I'm going to leave it in this project because I kind of like the idea of when I can share this is being able to share all the tracks and the master track and any processing we do on the master track all at once. So let's try this method. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. I didn't talk automation either, but I've talked automation a bunch of times. I've automated the end of these guitars because they kind of just tweaked out a little bit here at the end. So if we just come and show you that. And you might have heard there's a little creak of my guitar right at the end there. I'm leaving it in. It just shows that it's acoustic guitar. You know, acoustic guitars creak sometimes. Some people would be like, "Oh, we've got to remove that. We've got to redo it, retake it." Maybe I'm just slack. All right, let's try this. There's a lot of tracks to merge down, so let's do this thing. We're going to tap on one of the tracks here. We're going to tap merge. Now, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we're selecting all of the tracks that. Well, it actually doesn't matter, because if we merge a muted track, it won't merge anyway. So we'll come on down, merging all of Jade's drums in here. All of this will merge together, all of our panning decisions, all of our tracks, all of our mixing, all of our effects, all of our EQ. Not that I've done much EQ as you saw. Just need to make sure we don't accidentally mute anything as we go. It's very easy to do something wrong when you're doing this. So there you go. We've got all of those tracks. Let's just do a quick check. All those tracks selected. Now through the magic of merging, we're going to hit the merge button here in the top right corner, and that is going to duplicate our song. It auto backs it up, and then it does its merging thing. It's going through and it's mixing down all of those tracks into one stereo track. Please hold. This is the hold music. Is there anything? I'll check the chat here. James Orell says, finally made it to a stream for the first time in ages. Good to have you on board here, my friend. James is one of our amazing moderators over at the GarageBand Users Facebook group. Hello to anyone from GBU that is watching here live or on the replay. The other thing I've realized is before I did this, I probably should have trimmed the end of this project, because as you can see there, I have maybe 20 bars that are completely redundant at the end there. Anyway, it's merging, it's normalizing. There is my track. And now, the thing here is we've got to be really careful now, because we now have all of these tracks up here. Oh, no, we don't. You know what? We don't, because... yeah, okay. I was actually thinking of the other way that I was going to do it, and then I did it this way. So that's okay. We'll roll with it. The way I was thinking was actually exporting it and then bringing the track back in. But we've done it the other way, which is where we've just got a single track here now, and that is it. So, but that's okay. We've got the backup over there. Don't worry. We can just actually delete out all these and delete this. So this is one way to do your mastering. If you want to learn the other ways, if you search Pete John's mastering, and if you're watching on the replay, I'll put some links down below showing the two different methods you can use in GarageBand, and also showing Final Touch and Grand Finale and Audio Master Pro. There's a bunch of different ways you can master your tracks. But now, if we come in and play this, what we'll find is that this is all put together. So we hit play.
Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best. Maybe I don't always do.
All right, we're cool. And the good thing is that, yeah, you'll notice that even in our loudest bits, we're not like right up here in the red. And I've said this before, and it's again, if you take a second thing out of this, it's to make sure that you're not sort of overdoing on your volume. So if we come down to here. You can see there that it's not getting right up there. Now, what I want to do here now is, what I would do at this point is I like to send this out to AudioShare just to sort of see how it's going. The metering here in GarageBand is actually not that good, because you never really know how close you are to 0 dB. It's not really designed for mastering. I use it anyway because you can get a decent sound out of it. But yeah, it's not always the easiest thing to do. So why don't we do that here? We'll save out of that one. So this is our version here. We're going to select it. We're going to select it again. We're going to hit share in the bottom left corner, and then we're going to share the song. So we'll share the song here. Now, remember, we need uncompressed wave, 44.1, 24-bit. You always want to keep it an uncompressed file for as long as possible. We're going to tap share. And this is the part where people are going to get caught, because you're going to try and do save somewhere or do something before we've done open in. So we need to do open in first. And that is actually going to export the song and then allow us to actually open it in another app. And in this case, we're going to open it into AudioShare just to see what it looks like there. So there you go. It has rendered out. It's a 64.5 megabyte. We hit the more button here, and we will come down and we will go copy to AudioShare, which is here. If you don't have AudioShare, I think it's like $3. It is almost an essential piece of gear to have in your collection. So here you go. Here we have AudioShare. And what you can see here is that obviously at the start of the track here, we're nowhere near peaking. And then as you go on through here, it's sitting okay there. And it's really peaking. There's sort of these little bits that are popping up. So what GarageBand does is it auto-normalizes. So there are parts here, like there, where you can see where it actually peaks right up to the top, and bits here where it's peaking right to the top. Now, we could release this song right here, right now, and it would be okay. But what mastering does is it actually turns this song and it actually will bring it into more of a mastered looking waveform. When I say mastered looking, what it's basically doing is that if we're using limiting, we are pushing down the peaks and we're bringing the rest of the volume up. So these little peaky bits across the top here, they're okay, but because they're at 0 dB, all the rest of our stuff is at like -6 or -12. Now, in a perfect world, you have more headroom. So you have more headroom, which means that you can, when you're limiting, it's actually going to be able to bring everything up and you've got that bit of space at the top. GarageBand doesn't allow for that. We just have to work around it. If we look at, say, my Imagination song, see, that's what my master of Imagination looks like. And there's some of the, yeah, here's an example. So here's what I did with Imagination, my last song. So there's the original version. If we just play this. So nothing wrong with that, but because there's such a difference in the volume from there to the end here, that when I went through and did my final mastering, now it's actually... It just means it keeps it at a more competitive volume. So that's, to me, these days, that's generally what I'm looking for with mastering, is just making sure that I can actually get a competitive volume out of things. So how do we do that in GarageBand then? Well, let's come back and take a quick look-see, shall we? We'll hit done. We'll come back into here to our No Apologies version 4. And what we can do... Now, I do a couple of things on here. Oh, get off. It just wants me to select all for some reason. So we can go in, now that we have this one stereo track, we can actually add effects just to this stereo track. So if we wanted some extra echo and reverb, we can do that. If we wanted to EQ something, if there was a particular frequency that was sticking out to us, we could do this. And this won't be my final master. I'm just sort of showing the process here because I want you to listen to this track and let me know what you think. We're done on that one. So this is what I would normally do. And the beauty part is that what we can now do is we can use an audio unit extension. We can use a limiter on here. And even if you don't have any purchased apps or anything like that, we can use the peak limiter, the AU peak limiter here. Now, if you haven't installed these, all you need to do is go into your GarageBand settings and add them. There's a video called Free Apple AU Plugins. Just search Pete Johns Free Apple Plugins. You should find it. Should be all good. This is the peak limiter. And all we really need to do with this, we've got attack and release, and then we've just got some gain. So what this is going to be doing is as we play our track, let's come into a section here.
But the work it never ends, and I try to make amends, but it's not always easy.
So it's giving us that volume boost. You can see on the meter there, we can't see now, that it's going to bring everything up. Now, the risk here is that you're going to start clipping and distorting and not sounding good. By its definition, a limiter can't actually clip and distort, but it can over compress, which gives you that sort of pumping sound, and it can get a bit crispy and crunchy in there. So you don't want that. Here's the tip. This is a bit low tech again. The other thing we want to do is we want to move the limiter down here below the EQ, below everything. Limiter has to be the last thing in your chain because it's doing that final limiting. But there's a little tip that I use when I'm doing this, and that is because GarageBand wants to push the volume up by itself, I tend to tell it to just chill out for a little bit. So what I've done and what's worked in some previous masters is I come in here to the EQ, I don't adjust the EQ, but over here on the right side, you can actually drop the gain. So I can drop the gain down by like, say, 6 dB or so, like that. And then if we take this limiter off and we play it now,
Maybe I'm biting up on that night.
so now it's sitting a bit lower. It's giving us a little bit of artificial headroom, I guess. And then if we bring the peak limiter back on and we start playing this.
Maybe I need to be honest with you, but I just don't want to show any weakness. Maybe I need to step back for a while. Maybe.
So around about there, and you might be saying at this point, Pete, why are you turning the volume down 5 dB and then back up 5 dB? But remember, we're talking volume here. We're talking the gain here. So this is just dropping the gain down. Limiting is actually it's chopping off and then bringing up the overall thing. So your volume, if you push the volume up, it's just going to start peaking and clipping. What you need to do, what I do, is I bring the volume down slightly, I bring the limiter on up, and then it will just flatten it out. I'll show you visually what I mean with this because it's probably easier to understand if you look at it. So once again, we've dropped the volume down there, probably a bit too much, but that's okay. We'll go with it for now. We've added in our peak limiter just to give us that volume boost. Let's come out of here now. Oh, by the way, Amaracy, I agree with you. When you're EQing, there's no undo for EQ. So if you're doing EQ moves, yeah, you can't undo what you've done. It's a pain in the butt. The same with a lot of plugins. For some reason, GarageBand doesn't keep even for its own plugins, it doesn't keep plugin moves as an undoable event. It kind of sucks. So let's choose this one here. We're going to share it. We're going to throw this one as a song. Do the same thing, uncompressed wave. You know that's what we need to use. We're going to come in here. We're going to do open in, and we're going to export our song again. It's exporting that new version now that has the lowered volume and then the increase, the little bump there. We will come in here. We are going to come across and tap more and come on down to AudioShare. Yeah, so, okay. So it probably hasn't given us quite the boost that I thought it would there. Because, yep, so you can see it's given us a little bit of a boost, but I've probably gone a little bit too aggressive there. So, but you can see that the effect here. Let's just show you a little bit more of a, we'll come back in and we'll tweak it again because we've probably got a little bit more room to be a bit more aggressive with this now. So we'll come back in, probably turned it down a bit too much on the volume and then brought it back up. So if we make the volume reduction around about there instead, and then leave the limiter around about that same point, then, I know, this is riveting stuff, I'm sure, but hopefully it's giving you some ideas. Again, some people watch these things and the biggest criticism I get is, Pete, I would never do a thing like that and you don't know what you're talking about and you're just making things up as you go along. No, well, yes, for starters. Yes, thank you. But no, I'm trying different things. I'm trying workarounds. I'm trying things. And at the end of the day, if it turns out that it sounds good and it's a song that sounds good to me and it works, then success. And if it doesn't work for you, then that's actually cool. That's actually good because it means you've tried something and you've tried a different way of doing things. And that's all that I'm ever trying to do. And that's all that I ever suggest is just try things. If it doesn't work, hey, you're cool. Just try something else. But yeah, it's worth actually experimenting to see what works for you and what doesn't. I should really put it as one of my favorites, shouldn't I? In fact, let's do that. Tap the edit button. We can add copy to AudioShare as my favorite. And then it pops it right up here. So every time I do a share, it's one of the things that I can actually do. Copy to AudioShare. There we go. So that's an example. So you can see there that here was our original version. That was the original version, and the final mixed version. Here was our first attempt at mastering, just sort of bringing the level up a little bit. And then this one here is more of that traditional style of what a mastered song will look like. Like if you look at a Foo Fighters song, it's like a sausage. Like there are no gaps. It is just at boom. It's brick walled at 0 dB the whole way through. Something like this, I don't want that. This is a rock song. This itself may even be a little bit too intense. So let's just play this, shall we?
Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best. Maybe I don't always do what I say. Maybe the deadlines are missed by a day. But I'm here to tell you I'm trying to learn.
Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with that. What's this spike at the end? I just wanted to see what's happening down here.
It's all,
that's that last boom
all
hit.
that I can do.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think that that's about where it needs to be. I don't know. Let me know if you're here. I've got a few minutes to chat with you afterwards, but I'm going to do one final thing here because what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to share this file, this version of it, or shall I do both? Shall I do that first, or shall I do all three? I don't want to go nuts with this. I think I will just share that one the mastered version. But let me know if you want me to share the mastered version and then just the straight mix so that you can hear the difference or compare them, and let me know if I've gone a bit too much with the master or what. But yeah, I'll at least share one of these. But the first thing I need to do before I do that is actually trim this. And this is why I love AudioShare, and Jade's just popped a link to AudioShare in the chat as well, is we've got some cool tools that we can use here. So if we tap on the tools button, we've got a normalize, which we won't want to do. We're already up at 0 dB. We don't need to normalize, but we want to trim and fade. Tap, trim, and fade, and then we can move these handles. Now, you might think, well, that's a bit imprecise, Pete. We need to be more precise. Well, guess what? We hold still, and it goes boom, and it zooms. So we can actually find, so at the end here, we want to give ourselves a little bit of layoff at the end, like that. So let's just play this last bit. Hear my little creak? No, see, even that, you have to give yourself a bit more than you'd even think at the end. So we'll tap and hold again. Oop, we've gone too far back. Tap and hold there. There's the end bit. Probably want to give it out to here. You don't want it too long, because if you're playing it with another song, you don't want it to wait. But you also don't want to cut off your nice little mellow reverb at the end. And yeah, okay, that's cool. Let's do the front. So the front, we just want to usually have about half a second. You don't want it right up against it. You don't want it there, but you also don't want a whole bunch of time because, again, a lot of the streaming platforms will just start it so quickly that it almost cuts off your first note, and you don't want that. But you don't want someone pressing play and waiting 2 seconds either. So you need about half a second. Let's see if we can get this about the right spot. That's too much. Yeah, that's too much. Tap and hold. Zoom it on in. Want it maybe about there. Hit play. Oh, go back. So you can just go back with this yellow button. I don't think I actually moved it. No, I didn't. All right, we'll put it there. Maybe it needs to be about there. All right, yellow button to go to the back. Yeah. So we go, ready? I'll hit tap, and you'll hear how quickly it comes in. Now. I think that's about right. All we need to do now, we've got fade options, by the way, too, so you can fade in and fade out. It doesn't really matter for a song like this. I'll probably just add the fade out with a little bit more, just in case there's a little bit of a harsh cutoff at the end. We'll give it like 30 milliseconds of fade at the end. That'll just fade down and make sure that this doesn't have any pop or click at the end. And then we'll hit save on that one. Boom. And it's going to trim this sucker and save it down to that version. So this is the file that I am going to share with you folks, and I'll show you. In fact, I might even do that now just so that it's done, in case you're interested to know how to share from here. But firstly, I want to rename this. So how do we do renaming in? We need to go, it's been a while since I've used this and I'm using it. I'm using my mouse, which I don't really know. Do you tap and hold? Yeah, you do. Tap and hold, rename, and this is, no, apologies, Master V1 that we're going to be sharing. Yep, keep the extension. Cool. So no apologies, Master version 1 is there. This, from here, we can actually share it directly from here quite simply. And I'm going to do that now. So if we hit the share button here, down at the bottom right, we get another new share sheet. And this time, because we're in here, we can actually save it directly to files. But what I could probably do, why don't we use Google Drive? That's what I tend to use with these. I'm just going to, in case it shows my logins and whatnot, so I'm just going to put Marmug on the screen here. All I'm doing is tapping on the Drive button because it's going to open it up. It's going to export it. And then, yes, it's asking me to choose my account in Google Drive. I'm just going to choose my account. And then it's going to ask me, I think I'm safe to bring you back over here. Yep, that's just got my Studio Live Gmail address, which everyone knows anyway because I have no privacy. It's fine. I choose to. So here we can save it to my drive. It'll just save it to a default location, or I should be able to tap on my drive here. Yep. There's Ben Folds Smoke, by the way. Collaboration with Jade Star coming soon to a place near you. So Master of Hold On. Let's just create a new folder here. And this is what I'm going to be able to share with folks. Oh, grab my other keyboard. And this is going to be no apologies, Master. And then hit create. We're now in that one. I just hit save here. And what it should do is if I hit upload, Failed to upload. See, I was all the way I was doing this, I'm like, sometimes the integration like this doesn't work directly from the share sheet. So I wonder how we're going to go here, Apple. And then it said, nah, you fail. So let's show you the other secondary method. I purposely did that so that you'd be able to see this. What we're going to do is we're just going to save it out as a file and then upload it into Google Drive. So to do that, we tap on the share sheet here. This time we can actually save to files like so. This one doesn't have the same problem that GarageBand has, where you have to use the open in. You can actually just save it. It's just waiting for it to pop up. Oy, it's reading my thousands of different folder locations. All right. We will pop it just in on my iPad GarageBand file transfer. At least I know where it is there. We'll save it there. Boom, that is done. I'll come back to my webcam. And what I need to do now is I'm just going to open up the Google Drive app. I'm just going to type in Drive and click, clickety clack, front and back on that one. I'll come into here. Did it even create that folder? Yeah, see, look at it. It created the folder. Like, if we look at this, it worked creating the folder. It just didn't actually upload. That's okay. So we can go, no apologies. We're in this folder now. Now we should be able to upload directly into here. So if we go down the big plus button in the bottom right, which is kind of covered by my giant melon, but that's all right. We'll do upload. We'll go browse. And then we know where we put it because we put it in my GarageBand file transfer folder with all my other crud that I store in here. No apologies. Which one was it? No apologies, master version 1. Tap it. It's going to upload it. There you go. That is uploading now. So after, in fact, I might even try and do it live while I'm here so that those that are here on the live show can actually get access to this straight away. So yeah, that's going to upload now. And this is, again, a way I'd suggest to make sure if you want to share your you want to share your projects with people, you want to share what you've done. There you go. We're done. Cool. So now what I should be able to do is, actually, I'll go back to I'll share the folder in case I add different files to this. I should be able to. If I tap on that one, link sharing is off. What if we put link sharing on? Link sharing turned on and link copied. So it's copied there onto my iPad, which is cool. And now all I need to do is find out how I can get over to the stream on my iPad and then share it with you, which I'll do in the background here. But yeah, if anyone has any other questions, comments, or anything that they want to talk about this song, about mixing, about mastering, I know it was a bit of a weird hybrid one here today. I didn't really get into the nuts and bolts of the mixing. I have heaps of videos where I do that, so you can check those out on the channel. Make sure that you are subscribed to Studio Live today. Jump on over there and you'll be able to see what's going down. But for now, I'm just going to come on over here to YouTube and see if I can find this video here right now. This is going to be a bit weird and meta. I'm going to turn the volume down so that we are good to go. Yes, I can tap on this and be watching myself. This is a wee bit funny. And I'm just going to chat publicly as me, tap, paste, Drive, Google, folders. All right, let's try that one. Let's try this out. This is very experimental. See if this is going to work. Hopefully I didn't just accidentally share my entire Google folder with a lot of people. I think I did it right. Yeah, if someone wants to check on that one, then go ahead and do that. What I might do now is let's go back. Where are we? Let's go back to the mastered version because I haven't had a listen to this through. Let's have a listen to the full mastered version. Actually, I'll make sure I haven't missed anything with anything else that anyone said here in the chat, and then I'll go ahead and do that. So, no, SM Borthwick says, should be happy. Sounds very nice. Thank you very much. Trance Jedi says, reminds me of Elvis Costello. Super good. Thank you. Jade Star, it's sounding lush. Appreciate it. Erin says, one thing I like about GarageBand iOS is it has tons of keyboard shortcuts. I know, I totally have to get into the whole keyboard shortcut thing. I don't use those enough, but I need to use them more. Sesphony, hello to you. Sesphony. Case, hello, my buddy. Yes, your collab with Jade sounds great. Yeah, so we've got another collab coming out, which is good. James says the link looks good. Amaracia, link looks good. Yes, link working. Beautiful. Look at that. On the go, under pressure, doing everything we need to do. We're over time. We are over time. We're over an hour, and I don't like to do shows that are more than 1 hour long. But I do still want to play this track. So we might finish off with a playing of the full version. You can, of course, my thing's sideways. You can, of course, download that. I'll put that down in the description. I'll link it down in the description. So if you're watching on the replay and you weren't here live, you can still download the WAV file. Take a listen for yourself. Let me know. Let me know if you want the original mix version as well as the master version there, in case you want to have a go. Maybe you want to try and master it. Or if you'd like to see the whole project of this once it's all done, let me know that as well. I'd be happy to share that once we have released, because I think the best way to learn is to actually see what other people are doing. And as I said before, I'm not always doing everything right by any stretch, but it might just give you some ideas and some things that you want to do as well. All right, let's bring this sucker back up, and we'll take a listen to this final mastered version. Well, not final. This current master version. I'll throw my microphone down. We'll listen to this. I'll then say goodbye and we'll be done. So let's see. This is the premiere of the first mastered version of No Apologies. Thank you all for watching and listening. You know what helps? If you turn the volume up. All right. Take 2. It's not like we're live or anything. Let's give this a go. And turning the right faders up works a treat too. Just after Jade said, Pete, you're killing it. You're doing everything and it's working. Yeah, not so much. All right, take 3. Third time's a charm.
Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best. Maybe I don't always do what I say. Maybe the deadlines are missed by a day. But I'm here to tell you I'm trying to learn, and I'm running as fast as I can. But the work, it never ends, and I try to make amends, but it's not always easy. Maybe I'm biting off more than I chew. Maybe I need to be honest
There we are, Little Creek and all. Thank you, folks. Please jump back to the replay and leave any comments if there's anything else you want to add, any feedback you have, things that I can change. Like I said, we've got about 24 hours. I have a goal, no, I have a commitment that this song will be done by the end of this weekend, the end of Sunday, the whatever-eth it is, so 8th of March. So, yeah, please jump back with any of your comments, any of your feedback. I will throw on the replay some more videos down there that were the earlier versions if you want to see how this song came about and evolved, and you can subscribe to the channel. If you got some value out of this, hit the like button. That just tells me that I should do more of these sort of videos. Thank you for your patience and for your time here today, and I will catch you on the next video. Take care, folks.